I'm here, Mr. Freemasser. How you doing? How is everybody? Here we are again, Tuesday night. Hope you've all had a good week. There's obviously you guys have been busy chatting amongst yourselves. Good for you. Todd Denio, welcome along. Good to have you here, man. Hope you're feeling well. Mexican Speak, as you're becoming very much a regular these days. It's awesome. Hope you're feeling a bit better too. Kerosene and Cucumbers, welcome along. Who else have we got here? Valfly clings to a granola bar. Good lord. Who else? Barracuda, welcome along. Got some Kiwi lamb. Hey, you like the shirt, Mr. Barracuda? A little something Mrs. K picked up for me on her trip back to New Zealand. So it's pretty cool. Who else have we got in the room? Yeah, obviously Mr. Freemasser, I mentioned him. Unfinished Project Dart Sport, he's here as well, old timer. My notification was late. Oh, that's no good. So we got quarter 18 in the room already. Old car nut as well. It's all go. It's all go. Busy night, which is good. So what's been happening, people? What have you been working on? What's going on? What are you drinking this evening? Chris Freemasser. It's a lovely spring evening here, so of course they're predicting possible snow next week. It's still a bit up and down, isn't it? It's pretty warm here. It's pretty warm here, I got to tell you. Beagle Bob, hey, welcome along. Mexican Speak. Chris Freemasser, I'm sweating in my room as usual, mate. No, now the AC is cranking here. I stay hot enough during the day. I want some AC when I get home. Wildfly, the new guy at the shop's getting broken in on doing Honda rear main seals. Sounds like fun. Old timer, picked up a bottle of Tullibardine Highland single malt scotch on the way home. $30. Wow. Sounds a lot more expensive than that. It tastes good. Awesome. Chris Freemasser, don't have the AC go. Apparently he doesn't, no. Mexican Speak, is he any good at the whole rear main seal as well? I guess he's going to learn. He's going to have to be, isn't he? Dave, 8334, welcome along. On vacation in Maine, cold and rainy. Well, yeah, that does describe Maine a little, doesn't it? Beagle Bob, is it a rear main or a left-right main? That's a good point. Todd Denio, Chris, I've been slowly working some dents and scuffs out of two of the original hubcaps on the Marlin. Oh, nice. Yeah, it's amazing. You can do quite a good, you can, if you work away at it, you can get them pretty good. Valfly, I've never seen so many lousy rear main seals in these newer engines, including the LSs. Huh. I hadn't heard about, not that I deal with LSs pretty rarely, really, but I hadn't heard of any rear main issues with them. Huh. Mexican Speak, I don't have AC in my room. When it gets really hot, I sleep in Mrs. Speck's room. Fair enough. Jeff Hutchins, got to hold off the customers for an hour. Oh, well. Keep dropping in when you can, when you're free, man. Volfly's still slow at it. Yeah, well, you'll get better. Chris Freemasser, I seem to recall you had AC in one of your rooms. Yeah, there you go. You can see how that works. Mrs. Mrs. Speck has got the AC in her room. Yes, it's often the way, isn't it? Maybe that is in her room. Maybe we'll take care of that this summer if I sell more cars. There you go. Old timer. Got to say, Kiwi, the Alpine work you've done is impressive. I wish I had that kind of talent and the equipment to do it. Well, thanks, man. I've been pushing fairly hard on that little car. Any spare moments I have, been getting into it and trying to spend a good 2 days a week on it at least. Anyway. Barracuda. Anyone have a look at that Murphy Ambrose incident to offer an opinion? You know, mate, I didn't. I didn't even think about it again until you mentioned it. Like, that's the trouble. Like, I'm usually pretty spent by the end of a long day at work, and then 9 o'clock at night, and like just everything leaves the brain at that point. So no, I didn't. Hopefully somebody did. Vilefly, I missed the rope seals on the small block Chevy and others. They were surprisingly effective, really, done right. Beagle Bob, the guy on the inside of the track didn't really turn, just wrecked into the car on the outside. Oh, Beagle Bob took a look. Good for you, man. Who was on the outside? Ambrose was on the outside, wasn't he? No, I'm guessing. I don't really remember, to be honest. Chris Freemy, so I did. The guy in the blue car, Ambrose, was at fault, in my humble opinion. There you go. The Ford man. That's how most Kiwis saw it, I think. Yeah, two hard-headed drivers that didn't like each other before that even happened. I tend to agree with you, Chris, but at the same time, I think Murphy could have let it go. But given who it was, he just wasn't gonna. And he didn't have to, but sometimes discretion's the better side of valor, Todd and I, driveway, that's good to hear. Yes, I'm chipping away at it slowly but surely. Next is getting it to draw gas from its gas tank. There you go. Did you get the fuel pump sorted out, man? I know you were looking for a kit, I think, from memory. Mexican spec. What I meant by that, her unit is the last one that is working in the house. The other units are 20-something years old. That's getting on a bit for AC, isn't it? Jeff Hutchins, Vilefly rope. Must be a southern hemisphere animal I'm not familiar with. Rope seal. Oh, Lord. Something like that, yeah. Beagle Bob, I got my fabric laid out and separated, ready to use as a template. Oh, cool. That's going to be interesting to see how you get on with that. Vilefly, the main reason a lot of rear main seals are going bad is because of the rotten PCV systems now employed. Non-negative pressure systems. Okay. Non-negative. Jeff Hutchins, get those rope seals off your Chevy engines. That salt water is really hard on them. Well, yeah. Chris Freeman say, given the quality of modern cars, are you surprised by things like this? I'm a little, because the modern engines don't tend to leak oil anywhere near as much as the old ones did, but I didn't think. Dave 8334, how much horsepower is going into the Sunbeam? Well, the spec of the engine should put out about 425-ish. give or take. It's going to have good cylinder heads on it. The 331 stroker, all the full roller valve train, not throttle body. It'll be port injection, which doesn't actually give you any more power. That's all for mid-range and drivability stuff. Doesn't give you any more peak power. About 425. So power to weight ratio should be pretty healthy. Hopefully it's not going to be too scary to drive. Beagle Bob, I accidentally poured closer to 3 fingers tonight. 3 fingers. Yeah, mine was about 3 fingers plus ice. So it's all good, man. It's all good. Volfly, I just miss a system that used to be so simple it couldn't be done wrong. Interesting you say that. I had an engine built by a company in Nashville. It was an old 292 Thunderbird engine, and I'm not sure what they did wrong, but it on startup, like they didn't run it. I put it in the car, ran it, and it just puked oil out the rear main. The rope seal just failed, spun. I don't know what happened to it, but it. I realised we had after basically breaking the cam in, or starting to break the cam in, and then I noticed oil coming out from under the car. There was that much oil coming out the rear main. It was actually running across the floor and out past the front wheel. It just had to shut it down. It probably dropped a good quart on the ground in about somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes running. Pulled it out again, took it back in. They put a new rope seal in it, and it was fine. I'm not sure what they did wrong, but old timer, an old Hot Rod Nova or Malibu or some such GM car pulled out in front of me in Acton Marine this afternoon, and the smell was glorious. I seldom get to smell that unmistakable smell of old carb cars and give. Yes, and a lot of that is unburnt fuel. Carbs aren't the most efficient. Certainly, there's good carbs and not so good carbs. But they're not as miserly on fuel as injection is. Chris Freeby's a Volfly. Seriously, I don't know how you and my mechanic can stand working on new cars. Yeah, I really don't know what it would be like. Interesting one. Andy Nickel, hey, welcome along, man. Good to have you here. Todd Denier, Chris, yes, I got the fuel pump fixed. Couldn't get a kit, so I had to rework what I had. Oh, wow. Good for you, man. Volfly keeps me from being bored. There you go. Volfly, I have a love of problem solving, which can be a trap unto itself. Yes, indeed. It's very rewarding, though, when you can figure it out. Barracuda, actually, I've just remembered, I Googled it and it appears that in more recent times, Murphy took responsibility for it. He wouldn't back off. Well, there you go. That's honestly, and we were talking about it last week. I'm quite a Murphy fan, but that, if I'm honest with myself and with you guys, that's how I saw it. He could have backed off and let it go, and then chose a better place to get the spot back, or to I can't remember. He was getting us. Was he giving up? Was he trying to get past? What's his name? Or was he trying to stop him, get him past? Who was in the lead prior to the incident? Debbie Bermudez, hey, welcome along. Mr. B, been on the road, have not watched your video on the Sunbeam. Hope all is going well. All is going well. Cheers. Cheers. Yes. Cheers. It's waiting there for you, mate. You can watch it. Todd Deny, modern vehicles are ugly, overpriced, overcomplicated joke. They are overly complicated, I'll give you that. Some are ugly, some are not. Yeah, a little overpriced, yep. LVG is in the room. Welcome along, sir. Good to have you here. Beagle Bob, they say the 6.7 power strokes have oil leaks from the pan because the PCV isn't serviced at all, and they make themselves a way to vent crank pressure through seals. Yeah, well, as soon as you get any positive pressure, that's going to find your oil leaks for sure. There we go. Volfly. The modern LS motors only vent the PCV gases in front of the throttle body instead of to a vacuum source like the intake manifold. Oh, okay. Wow, so they've gone back to like it was in the very old days. Yeah, we were looking at the PCV on Steve's Oldsmobile, his 63 olds, and that has like an early form of a PCV valve in the valve cover, but it feeds to the snorkel on the air cleaner. So it's in front of the carburetor, so it's not much of a vacuum really. So yeah, it's interesting. They've gone full circle and gone back to that rather than a positive, negative vacuum. Jeff Hutchins, my Massey Ferguson tractor's Perkins diesel probably has rope seals too. Them Brits hold on to that kind of thing forever. Running the crankcase at a slight vacuum helps everything seal better, even the piston rings. I never thought about the piston rings. Yeah, when we originally built the motor for my Mustang, the KSV, we had an air pump on that, like a vacuum pump, not an air pump, sorry, a vacuum pump, like a belt-driven vacuum pump. And when we put the front drive set up on it, there was just nowhere for it to go, so we had to ditch it. And it does leak a bit, but it's also got a massive crank spinning inside that 460 block, which is just like a 9-litre air pump, really. Volfly, I have some Perkins diesel cylinder sleeves I need to employ in a Stirling cycle engine project. A Stirling cycle, what is that? I've not even heard of that. Visual Bob, some people mess up walking, so no such thing as so simple to not go wrong. Yeah, there's some logic to that. Volfly, Eagle Bob, it was a hard lesson. Indeed. Walking, that was it? Beagle Bob, we were supposed to bring up hit and miss engines tonight. I do remember something about hit and miss engines last week. I guess it was a hit and miss topic since it didn't work out last week. That came very late in the evening, didn't it? Yeah. Jeff Hutchins put a GM HEI module in and fixed it. Okay, what did you fix? Mr. Nicole, hang on, have I got my chat not the wrong settings? I might be missing some. Let's try that. Jeff Hutchins, I had a hit and miss 318 one time. Oh, that's what the HEI module. Yeah, that was not showing a moment ago. I changed it from whatever it was set onto live chat, and that hit and miss 318 popped up. Interesting. Volfly, I haven't had a chance to mess with a hit and miss engine. I don't think I've ever even seen one in real life, like or particularly heard it run. I've seen videos of them. Matt Kennedy. It's a new name, I think. Welcome along, Matt. Took 69 MGC GT to my first Cars and Coffee in Newport, RI. Where's RI? Rhode Island. Newport, Rhode Island. 120-mile round trip on back roads, and the car ran awesome. Met a lot of great people. Very cool. That's what it's about, man. So good for you. 120 miles. That's a good run. That would have blown the cobwebs out of it. Nice. They're a pretty good car, those things, the MGC. Supposedly a little nose heavy, but, plenty of power and lots of torque, from what I've heard. Todd Denio, Jeff Hutchins, Jamie from Dead Dog Garage has an original 59 Plymouth Taxi that has a Perkins 4-cylinder diesel engine in it. I've seen the car, I've seen a couple of videos, and it's a cool car, no doubt, and I don't mean to sound like I'm ragging on it, but that must be pretty slow, a 4-cylinder diesel. Go forever, I give you that, but that's a lot of car. That's a big car for a 4-cylinder diesel. I don't know. Beagle Bob, the LS throttle bodies get very, very dirty as a result. Yeah, I bet they do. Old timer searing a 5-pound beef tenderloin and about to stuff it in the oven at 425 for about an hour. Perfect. Sounds delicious. Volfly, yep, they do. Wow, old timer. Walmart sold it to me for $51, whole tenderloin. That's pretty reasonable. 5 pounds, $10 a pound. That's pretty good. Cut 3 roasts out of it. Wow. Like 3 5-pound roasts. Wow. That's very cheap. Jeff Hutchins, Magnum starters and GMHI modules are the way in old Mopars. For me, I do kind of miss the old Mopar starter sound, but I'd rather have it start easy. There you go. Fall flight. Oh, tenderloin. Yeah, well. Charles Dalton. Chuck, how you doing? Hi, everyone. Mr. Slee. Sorry I'm late. Charity event tonight. Oh, fair enough. Hey, it's very hard to be in 2 places at once. So a charity event, that's a good thing. Barracuda. Ambrose was in front. Murphy ran into the backside of Ambrose's car as he was taking the apex of the corner. That's how it looked to me anyway. They're friendly now. Yeah, well, it's a long time ago, isn't it? It's a long time ago. And, it's better to have friends than enemies, Chris Freemason, to this impartial observer, it seemed like Ambrose. I really will have to go and have a look. But it's interesting how different eyes see things differently. It seemed like Ambrose intentionally nosed down towards the inside wall to cut off Murphy. I think that's probably pretty accurate, as I kind of recall. And Murphy wasn't gonna have it. He was not gonna have it, and they ended up both paying the price. It was, as I remember, it could have gone either way. I don't think either of them were wildly in the wrong. I don't remember it being a real kamikaze move from one of them. But Ambrose made life very difficult for him, and Murphy was like, "You're not going to do that," and had a little moment of to hell with the consequences. And Bear Rose Garage, hello, sir. How are you? Welcome along. How's that Corvair of yours coming, mate? I haven't seen any videos on that. It's not been popping up on my feed for some reason. I'm not sure why. But Now, where are we? Jeff Hutchins. Todd and I, yep, been watching it the whole time, getting tired of everyone telling him to engine swap it. They just don't get it. No, if I had that, if I had that car, I wouldn't be engine swapping it either. Maybe hang a big turbo on it or something, but not swap it. No, that's how that car's meant to be. Volfly, I'm only doing cheeseburgers tonight, slumming it, huh? Wow. Todd Denier, Chris, a Stirling engine is a unique engine that would be great if it could be made to make more power. Okay. Volfly, the most I can hope for from my Stirling engine project is 1 horsepower. At least that's what I'm aiming for. Wow. What is that, a single cylinder or like 1 horsepower? That's less than a lot of starter motors. Todd Denier, I know they are clueless when it comes to how cool and how special perky the Perkins powered Mopar taxi is. Yeah, I agree. Beagle Bob, have you ever seen a 4-door Mercury Meteor? It's a clean looking 62 near me for sale, and my wife could be described as as opposed to me buying it. That's a bit of a problem, isn't it? That is a bit of a problem. 4-door Meteor, 62. That's a problem. What you have to do is figure out how to get her to like it. So then it can be her idea. Which might be tricky. Chris Freeman. Oh yeah, he drove it before he took the engine out, and my freaking Beetle could have blown past Perky. Well, I guess the slower the taxi was, the more they got to charge, right? Because the meter just goes on time and distance, huh? So I guess they weren't necessarily in a big hurry, were they? Huh. Dave 8334, the Sopwith Camel. That's a name I remember. I mean, not that I was around during World War One, or two for that matter. But I do remember the name Sopwith Camel airplane. Had a hit and miss engine of sorts. Strange setup, but it worked. Barracuda, saw a video of a 63 Galaxy Fastback HP 390, high performance 390, black red interior. It's been in climate controlled storage from new. 2.5 miles on the odometer. Good grief. Wow. What? Why would you have a car for all these years and never drive it like at all? I mean, that's probably what was on the clock. 2.5, like 2.5, not 2.5K, like as in 2,500, but 2.5 miles, as in a little bit less than 3 miles. Wow. That's delivery miles. They must have just had it trailered home or lived real close and never drove it again. Wow. That's insane. But it's a gorgeous car. Old timer, yes, 3 5-pound roast, 120 for the tenderloin normally. Yeah, it would be. Wow. Good deal. Jeff Hutchins, I have to wipe out the Battlebird's throttle body right around the butterfly about every 6 months. Wow. Well, yeah. Huh. Snow Crusher, hey, welcome along, sir. How's the weather up in Canadistan? End of time. Hi from Canada. We've got 2 Canadians just dropped into the room like that, back to back. Awesome. Barrow's Garage. A fella down the street put a 3-cylinder Perkins in an MGB. It wasn't fast by any means, but it did keep up with the traffic and got amazing mileage. Not like the MGB was quick to begin with as well. Very true. Yeah, the little 1.8 MGs were not startling by any means, which is why they made the 6-cylinder one to try and get it going. And then finally they put the V8 in, which is probably what should have been in there all along. Volfly. Okay, here we go. The only way to get real power out of a Stirling engine Oh, excuse me. Is to run it under pressure to increase heat capacity. A 900 degree Fahrenheit heat exchanger under pressure becomes challenging though. Okay, that doesn't that doesn't compute at all. I don't even understand what you're saying, Vilefly. I can't. Well, if I know you or anything about the Stirling engine, I'm sure it would make sense. Only way to get real power out of a Stirling engine is to run it under pressure to increase heat capacity. Okay, yeah. Doesn't mean a thing to me, I'm afraid. Sorry. Ooh, I'm falling behind. Oh, there we go. Jeff Hutchins, Dave, that way they could time the Vickers machine gun to fire between the misses so as not to hit the prop with the bullets. Not really for those who think I'm serious. They did used to fire the guns from behind the propellers though, didn't they? And they actually did time them to go between the rotations of the prop. So it's not as ridiculous as it sounds, but yeah, trying to time it with the misses would have been a bit tricky. Chuck, this will be the first public announcement. After 3 years search, I finally purchased a Model A, specifically a 31 Tudor. I pick it up Sunday. Looking forward to cruising and tinkering with it. Nice. Awesome. A Model A Tudor. That's cool. Congratulations, sir. 3 years. You've been a patient man. Old timer. Wish you could all smell this beef roast, garlic powder, onion powder, Montreal steak seasoning, and oh boy, I'm hungry. Jeff Hutchins, he is turbocharging Perky. Well, there you go. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Well, that'll wake it up considerably. Well, I mean, it's still not going to be a rocket ship, but it'll be a lot better. Barracuda, what exactly is a Magnum starter, Jeff? Is that an aftermarket brand? Actually, I was wondering the same thing, Barracuda. I wasn't sure whether you meant like the Magnum V8, the Mopar Magnum, the 360, I think it was. Mate, I was wondering if it was a starter of one of them. But I'm not familiar with Magnum being a brand. Like, I've done my Stirling engine homework. Yeah, well, that's more than I can say, brother. Barrow's Garage, been stuck doing a lot of doubles at work. The checks are fat, but the time is slim pickings these days. Plan to do a little on the Corvair tomorrow, though. Look forward to the video. Chris Freemancer, old timer, taunting us this way will do you no good. The Evolfly must be in actual physical pain, I would think, by now. The thought of what you're doing. Jealousy, Jeff Hutchins, Barracuda, it's the factory starter off a Magnum engine. Okay, smaller and faster cranking. Oh, there you go. Todd Denier, Chris, you should look up what a Stirling engine is. Well, if I can remember, if I get to tomorrow and I even remember this conversation, because I didn't do very well last week, I will have a look. But yeah, I'm trying to even imagine how it might be a thing. But yeah, I have to stop tormenting myself and just watch a video when I get a minute. Old timer, just trying to help you live the good life vicariously. Beagle Bob, she doesn't understand why I want to make my cars faster or louder. So yeah, pretty tricky. Yeah, I get that. Mine's the same. Mrs. K likes fast. She does. She really does. She likes that little adrenaline rush of really goosing it and the thing's going. But she does not like loud. She wants to do it quietly with as little drawing as little attention as possible. So I've been sworn to have a very quiet exhaust on the Alpine. So, but what I do think I'll do is I'll put one of those or a couple of those switchable mufflers on it, so that we can have it like super quiet and a little throaty. So a lot of those mufflers are set up so that they're, you can make them a little louder now. But yeah, either throaty or loud. We're going to go with quiet or throaty. So that'll be interesting to see how that works, if it works. The whole time of Scotch and beef, that's how you do it. Can't argue with that, man. Can't argue with that. Firefly, my Stirling engine design will be a V-twin design. The Perkins cylinder liners are for other single cylinder designs. Okay, wow, you've got a lot on the go, haven't you? Firefly, Harbour Freight compressor conversion modification. Okay. Mexican spec. You've been quiet there, bud. I never got any pizza on Saturday. Chris Freemesser had pizza, and all I got was a picture of it. Oh dear, that's funny. Now, where are we here? Barracuda, yes, 2.5 miles. What's that about? Not sure. Jeff Hutchins, high torque, that Magnum starter motor. Volfly, Todd deny it will be clumsy and messy. Plan to use stainless brake lines to exchange heat from either cylinder. Oh, yeah. Almost sounding a bit like a steam engine. Might be way off beat there, but well, I'm too far behind. I need to hurry up. Todd and I, Chris, you really should go on your phone and see what a Stirling engine is. It'll take too long, mate. Mexican spec. Chris Freemesser, have you driven the LeBaron? That's a good question. Barrows. Glenn Curtis of Curtis Airplanes is one of my all-time favourite builders. There you go. Set the land speed record in 1907 at 137 mile an hour on a V8 powered motorcycle that was basically a bicycle. Good Lord. Wow. Sounds like even crazier than old Burt Munro. Chris Freemus. Originally, they didn't time them. A French pilot bolted steel on the back of his props to deflect bullets. Worked until the prop finally gave way. Good grief. Hero's garage. He didn't do it to set a record. He was testing his airplane engine in a safe way. LOL. Yeah, sure. Jeff Hutchins, some props they just shot through until they developed the interrupter system. Can't remember the name of it. I remember watching a movie about that when they were developing it. Very, very long time ago. I only remember little flashes of it. The end of time. Welcome along, sir. Brad Easton, what time did you start? Or did daylight savings screw me again? We started 40 minutes ago at 7 o'clock Central. And yeah, we're on some daylight. I'm not sure whether we're off daylight or on it. I don't know. But it changed a while ago now. But yeah, 40 minutes ago. Todd and I, a couple of friends and I are hoping to have the Marlin repainted by July the 4th. Wow. That'll be quite the achievement if you can pull that off. July the 4th, not that far away. End of time, man. I only had cereal for dinner. Oh, mate, that's a bit tough. Firefly clings to the oven window and feasts with his compound eyes. Chris Freeman, so the OG steering rack binds rather badly, unsafe to drive, as is. Oh, well. Now, Josh Homan, hey, welcome along, man. Good to have you here. Chris Freeman, if you speak, I've driven it up and down the driveway, still have a coolant leak to deal with as well. Always something, isn't there? Firefly turns the oven light on an old timer's oven. Firefly, haven't tinkered with my Stirling engine products for 10 years. Lots of copper and graphite lurking in the garage. I'm going to have to read about these things. Beagle Bob, a quick search on the Stirling engines makes it seem like a turbine with no steam. Good luck on that 1 horsepower. All right then. Jeff Hutchins, my wife loved the looks of my Camaro 27 years ago when we were dating, but wouldn't drive it because it was too loud inside the cabin at idle, which was fine with me. Wish I had it back though. Yeah, I'll bet. Now, LVG got the 60 Cruiser-Matic back from the builder for the 3rd time. Broken snap ring on the front clutch pack. Hopefully 3rd time's a charm. Mate, hopefully. Yeah, I'd be getting a little grumpy at this point if I were you. Wow, that's unlucky. Firefly, Stirling engine is an external combustion engine like a steam engine, but only uses air in a closed system. Helium is better, but pricey and hard to seal in. Like a steam engine, but only uses air in a closed system. Helium is better. Interesting. So it's using superheated air to create expansion to drive something, or drive like a turbine. Brad Eastham. John Britton was a fabulous motorcycle engineer, gone way too soon. He was very, very clever. He was like he was kind of on the spectrum. He was so intelligent. He was a little odd, but I don't mean to speak. He's gone. I certainly don't mean to speak ill of the dead, and that's not what I'm trying to do. It was what it was. He was so intelligent that and the way he thought and the way he did things, he was just off somewhere else when the rest of us were just left behind catching up. And I guess that's what made him seem a little odd, because he just wasn't always on the same page as mere mortals. So he would seem like he was, like a little off, but he actually wasn't. Yeah. End of time. Mexican speak. Just got tons of rain. Same weather as Ted Jog Garage. Nice. Very cute. What year Camaros? Now, Todd, steam engines are awesome. A while back, a modern diesel train stalled out on a hill and couldn't move. The 4014 steam engine, pulling its own train, pushed the stalled diesel train up the hill. Well, That's what they say about, well, not what they say, that's the thing with steam engines, maximum torque, like peak torque at 0 RPM. So, they've got the most power they have, like on takeoff. Yeah. So, yeah, torque is a thing they had. But, yeah, the power, they couldn't rev because the steam, couldn't keep up with the pistons. Jeff Hutchins, never heard about the bullet deflector on the back of the props. Makes sense. They must have been tough. Those old 303 British bullets would go right through half. Really? Half-inch mild steel. Damn. It amazes me that they could get away with bolting steel to the back of the props. Balancing them must have been... that was apparently a big thing on those old prop planes, was balance. Back in that, Sopwith Camel kind of era, they would go to great lengths to balance them. But you bolt a couple of big pieces of heavy steel, by the sound of it, onto the prop, that would want to mess up the balance, I'm sure. I remember my grandfather telling me a story. He was in the Air Force, and he was part of the war effort in World War II. But he was in the Air Force, and I'm trying to remember exactly what he did. But I remember him telling me that they would balance the props to a point where if you put a postage stamp on the tip of one of the blades, it would actually swing down. That postage stamp was enough to make it drop to the bottom when they were balancing them. So he said he could have been just putting one over on a little wee kid, but that's what he told me. I do remember that quite clearly. Funny the little memories you have like that. I just remember thinking that was just amazing. Like, just a postage stamp would upset the balance. Good point, Chris Freemesser. Yeah, keep in mind that the pitch of the props means the bullets weren't hitting the blades head on. Good point. Yeah. Todd Denio, Volfly, the world's largest helium deposit, was found 17 miles from where I live about 2 years ago. Good grief, really? So does everyone living nearby talk funny or what? Jeff Hutchins, most likely armour plate, much harder. Yeah. Jeff Hutchins. Customers. Yeah, well, can't live with them, can't live without them. Mexican speak. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, but wouldn't armour plating be heavy for a propeller? Yeah, I think it would be. And like I was saying, the balancing aspect of it must have been a challenge as well. Hang on. There we go here. Now, Barracuda, the Messerschmitt 109 fighter plane had a machine gun mounted between the cylinder banks of its V12 and fired out of the center of the nose cone of the propeller. Huh. Wow. That's pretty wild. Todd Denio of Volfly, read up about the helium deposit found by Babbitt, Minnesota. Wow. Chris Freemas, I think the P-39 Air Cobra had a nose gun like that as well. Wow. Volfly, Stirling engines are closed loop. Ericsson engines are open loop. Both are hot air engines. Okay. Oh, I was kind of on the right track then. Danny Boy, welcome along, says Snoopy flew a Sopwith Camel. Okay, maybe that's how I know the name. I don't think it is, but maybe. Bero's Garage, P39 Lightning and the British Mosquito were in a class of their own. Twin engine, but one turned counterclockwise, cancelling out the torque. Made them extremely stable. I remember those things. Well, I remember models and stuff on when I was a kid. They were a bit before my time. Granddad's Junk, Kiwi Brotherhood is starting early. Actually, no, I didn't. It's just same old time, but the daylight saving must have shifted for somebody. We're what are we? 51 minutes in, so. Beagle Bob, I think the front of the prop was flat and the back was rounded. It wouldn't have been to stop a bullet, just deflect it, right? Yeah, because as long as you deflect it away from the woodwork, you'd be all right. Danny Boyd de Havilland, I believe, made the Mosquito. Okay. Todd Denier, Chris, steam has a constant amount of torque. The steam engine lost out to diesel not because of lack of power, but because they had to stop to get more water and wood or coal. Yeah. I thought I thought there was a problem with the steam engine that it didn't, as the RPMs, you say it's got constant amount of torque. Okay, I was under the impression they ran out of grunt because of the speeds that they would start to go. They would, like the pressure of the steam coming in was starting to lose its effectiveness because the piston was moving away from it so fast. Which you can actually have that in a gasoline engine. When they rev some of these F1 type engines really high, the pistons start to run away from the flame front, from the expansion of the combustion. So I thought it was something like that. Granddad's joke, Chris Freemesser. We will be out in the mighty Valley this afternoon. Cool. Oh, the mighty Valiant this afternoon. Okay, sorry. Took me a moment to get that one. Driveway of Misfits, Granddad's joke. Awesome. Should run like a champ with the new fuel pump. That's what made the penny drop then. Barracuda. Dad told me he saw air cobras when he was in the Pacific Islands in World War II. He mentioned that if they were nosed into the ground, the V12 went through the pilot. Wow. That doesn't sound very pleasant. Todd Denier, Chris. Also, the steam engines were discontinued because if more than one engine was needed, each engine had to have its own crew. Diesel engines can piggyback together and ran by one crew. Oh, there you go. Yeah, well, that's a big thing, isn't it? Yeah, someone's got to shovel that coal or the wood, don't they? Chris Freemercer, yeah, the P-39 wasn't loved by American pilots, but the Soviets loved them for ground attack role. Oh, yeah. Volflight, I wonder if the AR-500 steel hardening technique was discovered just to protect those propellers. No idea. Barracuda, Dad saw the lightnings too. Wow, he was a busy boy. David Tyree, the P38 Lightning had 2 spark plugs and 4 valves per cylinder and a rather large 2-barrel Stromberg carburetor. I'll bet it did. 2 spark plugs and 4 valves per cylinder. Wow. Granddad's junk, we're on standard time now. Okay. When did you change? Like last weekend? Tight nuts. Okay, welcome along, sir. Balancing with weight plate near centre is not as influential. True. Like a crank, the further to the middle, the less effect. Yeah, that makes sense. I've kind of forgotten about that. Todd Denier, the 4014 steam engine produces 3 times the tractive power as a diesel locomotive does. Wow. 3 times. Now, what do you mean by tractive power? Does that mean like pulling power? Tractive power. Not sure I've heard that term before. Chris Freeman, a Barracuda. I seem to recall Australia has had a home-built fighter of some sort to make up for a lack of British plane, or had a home-built fighter. Haven't heard about that one. Barracuda, there's a restored Mosquito here in New Zealand. I think it's the only one flying in the world. Oh, wow. Pretty cool. Shot down the page again. Brad Eastham, yes, daylight saving ended over here. It's just a bloody pain in the bum. There you go. Barracuda Tomahawk. Granny's junk. It was cold this morning, but it's a nice today. Rain has stopped. Oh, very nice. Yeah, man, New Zealand's been hammered with some rain, hasn't it? Maybe not down your neck of the woods, but certainly in that upper North Island it has, or top half. Volfly, hard to compete with 100% torque at 0 RPM. Yes, electric is the only other one, hence the diesel-electric hybrid design. There you go. Dave 8334, early radial engines had a stationary crankshaft, the cylinders rotated with the prop. Yes, the engine rotated, so to speak, rotated around the crankshaft. I've heard about that. So the prop was actually bolted to the barrels. In that same flat layout, you had the barrels behind the prop, and all the barrels rotated around and spun the prop. Matt's rat. Here in British Columbia, Canada, we're sticking to one time also year round. Oh, cool. Todd Denier, Chris, think about this. When liquid water turns to steam, it expands 1628 times its liquid mass, and it does it instantly. There are steam engines that would run in excess of 100 miles an hour. Really? Huh. There you go. That is something to think about. Brad Eastham, how's the shop track going? Do you daily it to work? Most days, yeah. Yep. Actually, I got a lower from Tommy Bosch's, who's another YouTuber, ex-Power Nation guy. I got a lower ratio 9-inch and a posse, which is going to go in the shop truck, which will that should improve it a lot, because I'm pretty sure it's got a 2.5 to 1 ratio, which is like stupidly tall, with a close ratio 4-speed in it. Like first gear is like capable of about 50 miles an hour. Probably a bit more, actually. Yeah, 2,000 revs. And 2,000 revs in first gear is 25 mile an hour. So, 6,000 revs is not out of the question. That's a big first gear. It's too big. You can't get it going up a hill. And I certainly couldn't tow with it. You would not be able to get moving because the first gear is way too tall. So, got a low ratio, 389. That might be a little too low, but hey, it was a super good deal with a posse. And I can just pop it in and it keeps me driving. So that's what I'm doing. Max level 619 Kiwi. Can I top you off? Yes, please. It's getting down a little bit. Oh, we're still going. We've got a bit there. Your bourbon tumbler has a leak in it, perilously low for this occasion. Cheers to all. Yeah, come on. Yeah, we're only halfway through. I don't think it's going to last again. Now, Volfly. The great part about a Stirling engine is that it's reversible. Spin the engine with external power and you can pump the heat out of whatever you are thermally linked to. This is how cryo coolers work. Okay. Reversible. Huh. Crazy. Granddad's Chunk. There's a steam car, I'm sure, that runs down in Edendale, Southland. Wow. Huh. Todd and I, there are videos of the 4014 running at speeds keeping up with freeway traffic. Wow. There we go. Barracuda, New Zealand and Australia, we call the Warhawk the Kitty Hawk. Okay. Volflow, nothing beats the expansion rate of water steam conversions. So I guess that's why when you pull the radiator cap off a car that's too hot, above that boiling point, it boils, turns to steam, and it all just begin volcanoes out of the radiator, doesn't it? That makes sense. Yeah, once it boils, just all that steam is, if it's 16,000, 1,600 times, whatever it is, it's like, no wonder they blow their top, so to speak. Todd deny attractive power is the amount of pulling power a locomotive has. Okay, that makes sense. Mexican speak, adios or buffers ready to start. Yep, he's probably on a little bit behind. So, hey, thank you, Max. Always good to have you here and your input. So go and have fun. Bero's Garage. Only downfall of steam is the weight and the amount of time it takes to warm up. Well, that's true. You got to boil the jug, so to speak, don't you? Chuck, what really did the steam engine in was maintenance, cleaning out the boilers, burners, numerous lube points. A diesel electric engine requires much less maintenance. There you go. Granddad's junk only in the North Island got hit. Yeah, well, bad for the North Island, good for you. Danny boy, but in a heating boiler system, you want to run only water. Steam is noisy and less elegant in radiators, though it allows you to use just one pipe to the radiator. Huh. Dave 8334. Stirling engines are used to charge batteries in diesel submarines. Huh. Without surfacing. Japan, for one, uses the system. Oh. Huh. Didn't know that. Mopar Man 78. Hey, welcome along, sir. Good to have you here. Volfly, I've always wondered about a diesel cycle steam engine that flashes the water into steam in the cylinder. That could work, couldn't it? That could work. You should have how would you heat it enough to flash in the cylinder? I don't know, Volfly, exactly. That is why some steam locomotives can pull a full train in excess of 100 mile an hour. I think the record is 120. Well, I'm completely wrong then, aren't I? I'm not sure why I thought steam fell over at speed. 120 mile an hour is not slow, not at all. Granny's saying there's nothing like hearing and feeling the motion of a steam train being belting down the tracks. I can only imagine. I've never been on a steam train. It would be cool though. It would be cool. We should put that on the bucket list, huh? Butterfly. There's a nuclear heated Stirling engine in a Norwegian sub somewhere. Prototype. Did you know the Norwegians had subs? David Tyree, there, Barrows. There was a steam car that warmed up in 30 seconds. I think it was a late Stanley. 30 seconds. Good Lord. Chris Freemeter, I think Kev's been nipping at Kiwi's drink when he's not looking. It's going down rather well tonight, I have to tell you. I think it's because I got a bit hot and dehydrated during the day. And I mean, there's nothing like bourbon for rehydrating, right? I mean, it's got ice in it. Well, it had ice in it. It's all melted. I think you might be right, though. I think Kev might have been pulling a little swift one there. I don't know. Even today's nuclear warships and submarines are actually steam engines, and look how powerful and fast they are. Yeah, well, they use the nuclear powder actually to boil the water, don't they, to create the steam? Huh. But I thought the steam, well, I guess it's still a steam engine, isn't it? Don't they use the steam to create electricity somehow with generators or turbines to then run the electric motors? Isn't that how they work? Or am I woefully wrong again? Dave, if you ever get Dave 8334, if you ever get to Dearborn, go to the Ford Museum. The most powerful steam locomotive ever built is on display. 1,000 more horsepower than Big Boy. I saw that. I did go to the Ford Museum in Dearborn, and fabulous museum. Yeah, anybody that's into anything, it's not just cars, like you say. They've got a steam locomotive there. They've got airplanes there. They've got. I'll tell you what I thought was kind of cool was they had like a '59 Cadillac there, in the Ford Museum, because it's as much about that era, that 50s, 60s era, as it is, well, not as much, but it's also about that era as well as where Ford fit into it. But yeah, that's a fantastic, and yeah, if you ever go, get there for opening time and expect to be there till closing time, because we got there like a couple of hours after it opened and we just didn't get to see it all. I really didn't grasp quite how big it was and how much cool shit there was to see. Shot up the page again. Wish there was a way I could stop that. There we go. Here we go. Firefly, so if my Stirling engine fails to produce power, I can turn it into a cryo cooler instead. Liquid nitrogen is fun. Just don't try and cryogenically freeze yourself, mate, because that may not work out. Bear Rose, I remember them getting it down in the late 30s. Morris, if I remember correctly, but never heard of them getting it far down from a cold start. Huh. Todd Denier used to be a steam boiler engineer. Wow. Okay. Granddad's joke is this Kiwi's History Channel. It's a bit like that, isn't it? That's the sort of theme of the night. Old history. Barracuda, New Zealand Air Force were given 52 P-51 Mustangs, but too late for use in the war. A lot got scrapped, but the rest were used by RNZAF cadets into the 60s. Huh. P. Rose, LOL, yeah. Very funny. Tanny Boyd Steed is okay, but hot water is the best. Told you I was licensed for it. I didn't even know that was a thing. Matchrat, have you ever been to the street race in London? All the cars have to be 100 years and older. Through the streets to some old town outside of London. Must be some steam engine autos. Must be, yeah. All the cars have to be 100. But yeah, I mean, they're going to have to change that rule before long, aren't they? Because they're going to be getting into the 30s cars soon. And like the 1910 to 1920 cars were quite different, and the 1880 to 1920 were quite different from 1930 and up. That'd be a cool race though, for sure. Chris Freemes, a granddad's joke. Yes, on Tuesday nights, Kiwi's Classic takes on a whole different meaning. Indeed, it does. It does. We never quite know what the meaning is going to be, but it takes on something else. Fleetwood John, welcome along. I've been there, and that locomotive is massive. Crazy to imagine something that size doing 70 mile an hour down the tracks. Yeah, it is massive. It's inside a building, which gives you a little idea, a little hint as to how big the building is. Vilefly, for my Stirling engine project, I need to learn how to weld better with my TIG. TIG welding's, yeah, that takes a little bit of mastering. It does. Snow Crusher, there was a local up here that was trying to develop steam-powered aircraft. Never got off the ground, though. I bet it didn't. No, that doesn't seem like a good application. Having to carry all that water and fuel and, yeah. Todd Denio, Dave, yes, but the big boy is actually running the rails again and is even doing work hauling trains again. Wow, that's cool. David Tyree, Matsrat, London to Brighton. Okay, how very cool. Josh Homan, steam would never work to power aircraft, too bulky. Kind of, yeah. And heavy. I think weight would be a big factor too. Matsrat, yeah, that's it. What a race. London to Brighton. Interesting. Barracuda, change of subject. Speaking of Saveloys, I saw a pack of 6 in the supermarket for $13. The cost of food here is getting ridiculous. Wow. For a pack of 6. Good Lord. That was such a cheap food when I was a kid. That was like, dare I say it, that was like poor people's food. And we had it, so yeah. So I'm not being snobby, don't get me wrong. $13. Wow, $2 each. Ouch. And it's just for those that don't know what a saveloy is, it's just a very slight variation on a sausage. Just like the normal American sausage is 5 inches long or something. About the same diameter. Yeah, $2 each. Ow. Todd and Jay Leno is a 25 Doble steam car that is direct drive and has over 100 pound-foot of torque at the rear tyres. Wow. The Doble was able to use in about 30 seconds from when first started. Wow. 30 seconds. That's amazing. How did they boil water that quickly? Or did they just boil a very small volume? Offline impressive. Yeah, absolutely it is. Beagle Bob, I'm pretty sure it's all hybrid. Steam makes electric power. Yeah. Chris Freeman is a barracuda. What a saveloy. They're, like I said, they're a bit like a sausage. They're red in colour. They have a red skin that forms them, keeps their shape, whatever you want to call it. Bit like a bright, like a tomato red skin on them. The ones I had had a not quite spicy, but a spicier than a regular, a plain sausage, I should say. Those Italian sausages, the hot Italian sausages would be something like it here. I haven't had them since I was a kid, but I remember they were delicious. I thought they were anyway. Waffle, I need to get the hamburgers going. Yes, get to it. People got to eat at your place. Danny Boyd, I rode in a Model T at the Ford Museum. How cool. Very good. I knew someone would ask that. Figures. It's not a word that kind of, it's fairly unique, isn't it? Fly blasphemy. Green is sharp, basically a sausage. Red dye. Red skin. Here we go. Granny's sharp, basically a sausage cooked in red dye at the butcher. Yeah, I guess you could call it that. Chris Freeman said, Granny's sharp, beef, pork, lamb, a mix. Inquiring minds want to know. It was anything. Yeah, it was a bit of everything. Rose, that's the one that developed the Reclaimer as well, right? I remember seeing that on Jay's show many years ago, but thought it was longer to warm out. Isn't it recondense the steam or something? Danny Boyd, Mickey Mantle's head is cryogenically frozen. Really? Yeah. Granddad's saying all of that goes in offcuts that are too fatty to mince. Yeah, just bits of everything. Yeah. Probably one of those things that you're better off not knowing. Barracuda, a real basic plain sausage. They had a different flavour though, didn't they? Well, at least the ones I had did. So why were they, if they were just a plain sausage, why were they called a saveloy? Just because of the colour? I don't know. The little wee ones were just like a plain sausage in red. Polonies, I think they were called. Little, what were they? 2.5, 3 inches long. Thick as your finger maybe, but the full size ones had a bite to them. Well, they didn't Taranaki anyway, put it that way. Josh, Todd and I, Josh Homan, I don't agree. You let the steam boiler blow up and you will take flying lessons. Just not all in the same direction, but you will be flying. Ooh, that sounds rather grisly. Driveway misfits, so basically what we call a hot dog. It's got some parallels, yeah. Todd Denaya, Chris, I've worn many hats and had licenses for several different types of jobs. Good for you, man. A storied life. Good for you, man. That's all we can ask for, really. Barracuda. Dad came back from the islands in a Lockheed Ventura. It ran out of petrol in the middle of nowhere above the Pacific Ocean. Oh, good Lord. That's a bit of a whoops, isn't it? So what happened? Did they drop into the ocean or what? In the middle of nowhere. That doesn't sound very good. Thero's Garage. Sad thing about steam is that infamous picture of the spaghetti monster blow up. But what they don't tell you about is that the picture is it was intentional. It's actually hard to do that. I'm not even aware of that infamous picture. The spaghetti monster blow up. No, never heard of it. Something else to Google. You're educating me tonight, guys. Barracuda, remember in that movie Stand By Me, the hot dog eating contest? Like those, I think. Beagle Bob, I saw New Zealand honey the other day at Kroger, 350 grams for 24 bucks. Tell you what, if it's Manuka honey, it's good stuff, man. Very medicinal. If you can get good Manuka honey, like if you're like head into winter or whatever, and you've got getting a cold, Manuka honey is well known for its healing powers, and it's not just some hippie theory. It's pretty widely accepted that Manuka honey has very, very strong restorative powers. It was used on wounds, like cuts, abrasions and stuff. Actually put Manuka honey on, and it's proven to be very good stuff. And it means it's very good for eating too. It's not sold, it's not sold in the pharmacy part of Kroger's. It's honey like we're used to, but it's also very, very good for you. Todd and I, Chris, the 4014 Big Boy is going on tour this summer and is headed out east. It might end up in your area. Oh wow, really? That would be worth taking time out of your day to go and see that. Chris Freemess sounds a lot like a local brand of sausage, like hot dogs, called Sweegles. Sweegles? Am I saying that right? Sweegles? There's not much meat in them. No, there's a lot of fillers in there, shall we say. Let's be polite, call them fillers, because we don't want to know what they really are. Rose Garage. I actually really like steam and I wish they would do more with it. With what we have now, they could really do things with that kind of torque. Never thought about putting it, with some modern day technology. Yeah, I guess they could do some interesting stuff with it. Robert Beckler. I don't get to work on steam much. We'll be on Friday if all the parts come in. If you don't hear from me next week, I messed up. Oh, be careful. Wow. Well, you'll be working on steam on Friday. Wow. How cool. Beagle Bob. Beagle Bob. I would bet the steam chamber was compressed to help boil at a lower temperature. Less pressure makes them boil at a lower temperature, though, I thought. Like as you gain in altitude, the boiling point lowers. But more pressure would actually, that's like a radiator. It raises the boiling point. That's why they put 12, 14 pound caps on radiators to increase the pressure, which increases the boiling point. You'd get it hotter, I guess, before it turned to steam. Well, which is kind of, when you think about it, it's a little bit how a pressure cooker works, isn't it? Beagle Bob sounds like chorizo. Yeah. Not quite somehow. No, it's not quite it. It's trying to think of something you compare it to, and there's really not much. Todd Denier, Jay Leno's Doble makes over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. Not 100 pounds, 1,000 pounds. That's staggering, isn't it? Wow, I'm getting a bit behind here, guys, aren't I? Barracuda, so not like Zweigles then. Those are either 100% beef or 100% pork. No, there's not 100% of anything in the Savoy. Danny Boyd, I've changed a pump and a pressure relief valve on a hot water boiler before. Okay. Phil Dodge, Fury, hi, or just listening in the truck. Have a good day. You too, man. Thanks for tuning in. Todd Denier, yep, Bear Rose, the spaghetti explosion was intentional. Granddad's Young, I used to work in a butcher shop many years ago. Yeah, I bet you've got some unpleasant stories from there. Barracuda, I used to have a steam-powered VHS player, and that's what a friend of mine thought it looked like anyway. Oh, Lord. Robert Meyer, hello, Kiwi. Here in Minnesota, every year there is a new London to New Brighton car race and show. It is in its 40th year. I have never been to it, but I believe it is like the British. Minnesota. There is a New London to New Brighton. Is there a place called New London and New Brighton in Minnesota? Huh. That'd be cool. New London to New Brighton. Interesting. I have to look into that. I have to write this shit down. I've got so many things to look into. I'm just not going to remember any of them. Danny Boyd Savoy Truffle. No. Mythbusters water heater explosion was the best. When the steam goes boom, look out. Yeah, I'll bet. Robert Beckler. Never ate a dog I didn't like. Oh. Cheerios, that's it. Granddad's Young. Cheerios, the small ones are called. Yeah, that's right. I thought Polonies was also a name for them. If it's not, what's a Polony then? Not a pony, a Polony. Barracuda, they're nice with Worcester sauce. Yeah, they would be too. You can't beat tomato sauce. Bear Rose Garage. Danny Boyd, the boiler we use at work is about 3 stories tall and about 20 yards long. Wow. That's huge. Oh, what do you use that for, Bear Rose? That's huge. Bear Rose, Danny Boyd, yikes. Mine was just an old Bryant residential unit. 3 stories tall. What do you do, Bear Rose Garage? Danny Boyd, if we get really bad weather and it drops below zero for a week, the natural gas company forces us to shut down to save gas for residential use. It uses a little bit of gas then, I'm assuming. Barracuda, a lump of beef had an asking price of over $200. Wow. How heavy a lump of beef? You can tell me in kilos, I know what you mean. Jeff Hutchins, I'm back. Got to BSing about shooting jackrabbits with big game rifles. Why would you want to shoot jackrabbits with a big game rifle? You'd blow them to smithereens, wouldn't you? Chris Freemasser, Barracuda. The weird thing is that I watched a vid that compared grocery store prices in New Zealand and the US, taxes aside. New Zealand was only about 10% more expensive. Okay. That's surprising to me. It'd be interesting to know what was on their grocery list. I tell you what, I mean, taxes aside. I bet they didn't include alcohol or cigarettes on the grocery list because they're massively expensive. Particularly cigarettes, they're just insane. I don't know why anyone would smoke, but they still do. $300 for a carton, 300 plus for a carton of cigarettes. Insane. Oh, okay. Chris Freemasser's Zweigels. Okay, that's how you say it. Okay. David Tyree, try Sparrow with a 303. Well, that's just mean. I guess it wouldn't feel a thing, would it? Good grief. Poor thing. Probably didn't even just deform the shape of the bullet, as it transited through the Sparrow. Wow. Volfly. Okay, back for a little bit. One thing they did with steam engine is inject a little steam into the coal burner to keep it clean and run hotter H2O plus CO and H2 and CO and H2O. Oh, getting a little bit technical for me there. Yeah, you there? There's a better question, Chris. Yeah. Volfly, is my burger ready yet? Yeah, that's really what we need to know. Jeff Hutchins, David Tyree, not enough gun. Oh Lord, the testosterone's flowing. Todd and I, Beagle Bob, the higher the pressure, the higher the temperature has to be to make water boil. Yeah, that's what I thought. Beagle Bob, you're sounding very correct with the lower pressure making the boiling happen sooner. Yeah. I remember hearing it. What am I trying to say here? Sir Edmund Hillary, I remember listening to him one time. I think it was on a TV show, and he was saying that up on Everest, up pretty high, I think, on Everest, like higher than the base camp. But the water would boil. They try, they camp for the night on their climb to ascending Everest, and they'd have a cup of tea, like back in the day, and the water would boil very quickly, and you could actually hold your fingers in the pot of boiling water without burning them. The pressure was that the boiling point was that much lower. Yeah, Barracuda will know who Edmund Hillary is, or Sir Edmund Hillary, I should say. Chris Freemasser, is there any cheddar, or do I need to stop at the store? You guys are making me hungry. Jeez. So I'm skipping through some of them. I'm just trying to catch up, guys. Robert Meyer, you have to be careful of steam. A boiler can explode and kill you. Absolutely, it can. Chris Freemasser, if you fly in the right direction and you get to Firefly's house in 2 hours before he put the burgers on the grill. Brad Eastham, a fat, mild Frankfurter would be the best description. Actually, I'd agree with that, Brad. I think you're pretty much on the money there. Snow crusher, the only part of a cow that isn't used is the udder. They pretty much use everything, don't they? I didn't realise they excluded the udder. Wonder why that is. Volfly, if you think a Stirling engine is weird, try an OTEC power plant, ocean thermal energy conversion. Works off temperature differentials in the ocean. Oh, Volflies, he's run off cooking. Robert Meyer, yes, there is a New London and a New Brighton in Minnesota, 120-mile run between the two. That sounds like an interesting event. So, is it actually a race like flat out racing, or is it like what is it? Tell me more. Todd Denier, Bear Rose. How many horsepower is that boiler? That's huge. It certainly is. Volfly, in the OTEC plant, they boil seawater under a low atmospheric pressure to generate electricity. Good Lord, really? Bear Rose, I'm an industrial mechanic and fabricator for a potato processing plant. We make the raw materials for Frito-Lay and a million other companies. Wow. Well, that's. I mean, you've got job security there. America's in love with its fries and chips, potato chips. Yeah, don't see that. I don't see an industry downturn there, but Barracuda, the Ventura glided a long way. Dad was convinced they'd go into the sea, but the engine started up just in time. Someone was supposed to switch to the auxiliary tank before the wing tanks ran dry. Oh no, really? Bet they got their ass kicked around the block. Damn. Yeah, they could have ended very badly. Beagle Bob, that is crazy prices. I have about 200 tobacco seedlings I'm growing. Seeds cost $8. Wow. Yeah, Barracuda, how much is a carton of cigarettes in New Zealand now? I know they're really high. I'm just not really sure quite how, but I'm 300 and something, I believe. Jeff Hutchins, 300 Magnum with 130 grain hollow points at 3,800 feet per second. Vaporizes jackrabbits. No one can find them to eat them. Good grief. They're already hamburger. Beer Rose, I seem to recall watching a show about Frito-Lay, and they were very picky about the quality of the potatoes they'll accept. Sounds like an advert, not a program. Oh, there we go. Beer Rose Garage. That they are. David Tyree, Chris, it left a splat mark on the power pole and one feather floating down. Oh, no. Barry Cooter, I despise Waddy's tomato sauce. I'm with you, but I'm not a fan either. That's the truth. What did we used to? We used to have, when I was living in New Zealand, we would have Whitlocks. They had like a tomato something. It was kind of like a tomato sauce. Tomato. I want to say ketchup, but that's the American thing. The tomato. I can't remember what it was. It's gone. But it was like tomato sauce. It just had a slight. It was tomato something. It was tomato sauce. And Whitlocks made it. That was good. That Waddy's always had a funny tang to it. Like it was an odd aftertaste. Granny's Young Beagle, you need to up production. Plenty of people will buy it. There you go. Barry Cooter, it's the best tasting tomato sauce. Well, there's two different at camps. I've got a cousin who always gets people to bring, Kiwi guy living in the States as well as me. He always gets, if someone's coming back from New Zealand from a trip, he always gets them to bring him Watty's tomato sauce. And I'm like, each to their own. Todd Denier, Jeff Hutchins. Yeah, when I still hunted, I would use either my 50 cal Pennsylvania long rifle or my double barrel 10 gauge. Wow. Offline, Waddy's tomato sauce, noted for future reference. There you go. Beagle Bob, Grandad, selling tobacco pretty heavily regulated. Growing is not restricted at all, as far as I know. Okay, there you go. Top Denier, Rob Meyer. My dad did it with a 55 Chevy that came stock with a factory experimental engine in it. What was experimental about it, Todd? Chris Free. Cue the utterly ridiculous jokes in 3, 2, 1. Oh, yes. Master Foods, even Pam's is much nicer in my opinion, Grandad. Waddy's tastes like there's a bit of battery acid in it. Sure, they'd be glad to hear that. Granny's junk. Same here, Beagle, but it doesn't stop growers. Good black market for dub. That's the term for it. Oh, okay. Dub. Huh. Beagle Bob. Too much bourbon. Beagle Bob. I've seen turbines that float and use tides to generate electricity. I think the UK was experimenting. Yeah, I've seen TV shows about those. It's not. It's. I guess the environment is probably so harsh on equipment, being the salt water. But the tides never stop, and it's a massive amount of energy. Massive amount of energy. 4 or 5 mile an hour tide. You can run a huge turbine, and that tide will spin it up. There's a lot of energy behind that water. Snow Crusher. I shot a partridge with a 12 gauge that was flying towards me. Direct hit. Sent it backwards 10 feet. Nothing left but 2 feet wings. Oh, the poor little thing. Was it coming straight for the jugular, was it, Snow Crusher? That's when you had to defend yourself, I guess, right? Danny Boyd. Danny Bonaducci? I remember him out of the Partridge Family. Here we go. Tripod Misfit. I was literally just trying to remember the Partridge Family character names. Jeff Hutchins, I've thought about growing tobacco for my pipe, but the wife would frown on it. She's not a fan. Well, there you go. Barracuda, Edmund Hillary was in the RNZAF Catalinas in the Pacific as a navigator, I think, in a different squadron to Dad. That's very cool. That's very cool, Danny Boyd laughing. Whoop, shoot, up the page again. David Tyree, 50 grams of tobacco is about $150. Far out. Barracuda, Susan Day. She was the cute one. Firefly clings to cheeseburger. There you go. BROs. Yep, I worked for a fruit processing plant, but I swore off all processed foods over 15 years ago. It keeps the bills paid better than working on people's dailies did. LOL. Yeah, I bet it does. I bet it does. Jeff Hutchins, I was born very close to a reader. I heard Frito-Lay was very picky too. Robert Meyer, Kiwi, it's not a flat out, but the idea is everyone to make it to the finish. All vehicles before 1908, 1 and 2 cylinder before 1915, including motorcycles and steam. That'd be awesome to go and watch, wouldn't it? Huh. All vehicles before 1908, that would be cool to watch. Huh. Chris Freemason, no Dean Stevenson tonight. Did Dunedin fall into the ocean or something? That's a good point. No, we haven't seen Dino tonight, have we? Barracuda, around $70 and more for a pack of 25 cigarettes. Wow. Jeez. Jeff Hutchins, I just bought 2 pounds of tobacco. How many grams is that? That's 2 pounds is probably about 800 grams. Well, somewhere 800 to 900 grams. And they paid $150 for 50 grams. He paid 35. Well, the reason it's so expensive in New Zealand is the government tax it very, very heavily because the government pays for the medical system. So, you know, the thought process behind it is if you're going to smoke or chew or whatever you do with your tobacco, you're going to get sick. You're going to put more of a strain on the medical system. So they tax the product and supposedly, in theory, put that tax, into the medical system to help pay for the bills for the people with lung cancer and throat cancer and tongue cancer and all the different cancers that it gives you. And it's like, okay, that's if you're gonna have something that's that unhealthy for you, then you probably do need to chip in a little more to the medical system. I don't think it's unreasonable, honestly. It's also one of the reasons they motorbikes pay a lot of road tax because of the medical bills, because motorcyclists, I don't know what the stats are, but there's the injuries from motorcycles are typically a higher dollar value, and dollars and cents, and injuries is not supposed to be how it works, but the reality is it does. The injuries typically sustained on motorbikes, cost the government a lot of money compared to cars, so the bikes have to pay more. It's like, the statistics don't lie, unfortunately. The motorbike people kind of get very upset about it. And I can kind of see their point at the same time. Like, you don't, you can have a little 30-mile-an-hour fender bender in a car and, it might knock you around a little bit. But if you're on a bike, then, you could be in hospital for a week or more, or maimed, or, motorbikes are a risky business. And that's going to bring some responses, I'm sure, from the motorbike riders and the crew. They usually get quite defensive about that point of view. But that's wild. $70 and more for a pack of 25. That's wow. But yeah, I would that. I don't know what the tax content of that 150 would be, but it would. I would say it's at least half the tax. Government taxes on it would be at least half, and then we have 15% sales tax on top of that, which would actually be included in that amount. That $70 would include sales tax, or Kiwis call it GST, which is goods and service tax, at 15%. So it would be included in that. So I bet you the government's pulling out of that $70. I bet the government's takes is a solid 40, if not a little more of that, would be straight to the government. Todd Delano, Chris, we never did find out what was experimental about it, but it held the track record at the New Brighton Speedway from 1955 until the track closed in the 60s. Chevy refused to tell us anything. And you didn't just dive into the motor when they weren't looking to kind of pop the heads off and see what was going on? That would have been what I'd be doing. Beagle Bob, cigarettes are about $5 to $7 a pack down here. I'm not sure. I haven't bought any in years. Yeah, it's a lot cheaper here, but we pay our own medical bills here. The government doesn't assist us. Except when you're over 65, they start to. But for the vast majority of the time, it's on us, on on the individual to sort out his medical expenses. So yeah, the government don't need to tag anything on to those types of products. Chris Freemish, I think cigarettes are something like $15 a pack up here in New York, but nobody no smokes. Good for you, man. I'm the same. I don't know anyone that smokes either. Todd Denai, Edmund Hillary was a great explorer. I have great respect for him. Yeah, he was a great man, no doubt. Jeff Hutchins, don't buy them, but cigarettes about $12 a pack. It's a big difference from 70, isn't it? That's why I say I think the government's taking $40 plus from that 70. People do have the option to give up smoking, of course. The government don't make them smoke; they just make them pay tax. Jeff Hutchins, I'm like Bill Clinton, except with the pipe tobacco, not wacky weed. So I also don't inhale. Bear Rose, Jeff Hutchins, my wife is over in Ontario, Oregon, working. She gets called over there quite often. We are over here in southeast Idaho in the Spud Belt. Okay, Idaho potatoes, of course. Todd Denai, I have a machine to pack my own cigarettes. $14 gets me about 8 packs. There you go. Beagle Bob, sugar, corn syrup, if they allow that, and fried foods must be taxed high as hell as well. Yeah, they really do. The hardest hit are really tobacco and alcohol. Are hit pretty hard. There's limitations on corn syrup in New Zealand, fairly strict. We use a lot more natural sugar than corn syrup. But yeah, I'm not really completely up with it on that stuff in New Zealand, having not lived there for so long now. Granddad's Chung, nothing wrong with the devil's letters. Haven't heard it called that before. The devil's letters. Oh, here we go. Jeff Hutchins, Barrow's Garage. That's where I was born in Ontario, Oregon. Then John Day, Oregon. Now in Willamette Valley. Want to hear Kiwi? Can't even say Kiwi. God damn. I want to hear Kiwi try to pronounce it. That bourbon is having a bit of a side effect. Willamette Valley. That's easy to say. What are you talking about? Ontario, Oregon. Then John Day, Oregon. Now in Willamette Valley. Easy peasy. Give me a hard one. Volfly saw an old Cecil B. DeMille film, a cigarette dispenser that lit the cigarette during dispensing one. It looked fancy. Good grief. There we go. Barracuda, there's a YouTube video of Hillary's jet boat adventure up the Ganges River. I think I Googled it and found the video there. Oh, that would be fun. Chief Hutchins, Granddad's joke, I live in an altered state, don't need any skunk cabbage. It does smell like skunk a little bit, doesn't it? I'm told. Barrow's Garage, I like it the way it was in the 70s. The gas stations were the only IRS we really needed. Buy a pack of cigs, fill up your big block, grab a bottle of whiskey, and we had affordable county hospitals. There you go. Brad Eastham, motorcycle riders have banded together over here to put their registration on hold until the government can show the stats on ACC claims. Yes, I saw actually that on some YouTube footage that came through. And I was actually talking to my brother-in-law about it, who lives in New Zealand and has a couple of bikes. And apparently the government's been very evasive about just the stats, deliberately evasive, and they're getting called out about it. And I mean, if the motorcycles are right and the stats don't back it up, then they shouldn't be paying more. So good on them. If they believe that government's putting one over on them, then good for them. I mean, hopefully they all do it. Like all the boat riders, do put their registration on hold so they don't have to pay it and get some action. But yeah, if only 20% of them put it on hold, then it'll all just fall flat. So hopefully they truly put up a show of force. Barracuda, did you see the John Bow interview I sent you? Now, I saw the link. The link wouldn't work. I should have responded to that to you. I remember clicking on it and it wouldn't work. Yes. So yes and no. No, it didn't. Yes, I saw it, but no, it didn't work. I should go and see if I can find it direct rather than using your link, because I'm sure it's out there. Was it a YouTube? Was it a link to a YouTube video? Refresh my memory, as feeble as it is. Ooh, it's 9 o'clock. We're out of time, boys and girls. Minnesota is trying to pass laws about further restrictions on cars with collector plates. Yes, I read. I watched a YouTube video about that. But yeah, you can of course put regular plates on your collector car. The way I interpreted that was they were trying to stop a lot of people putting collector car plates on cars that weren't really collectible. They were just trying to dodge the registration or the taxing, the cost of tagging every 12 months. But Yeah, it seemed fairly strict restrictions. Not weren't allowed to drive them at night and that kind of thing. But I think they were just trying to make a point. Bigger Bob, haven't had tobacco for over a year. I like to chew, but don't trust any mass-produced corporate stuff. Apparently, they put fiberglass in the mass-produced stuff so that it pierces your cheek lining and you absorb the nicotine quicker. Like, oh, that doesn't sound very appealing. Snow Crusher, Manitoba generally costs between $12 and $14 Canadian. There you go. Jeff Hutchins, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Where's the party? It's a good question. Todd Denai, I refuse to have collector's plates on any of my cars. Okay, why is that, Todd? Todd Denai, yeah, driveway misfits. Yeah, good reason just to get regular plates for our old cars. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what it's like around the rest of the country, but here I think it's per year it's about $60. Tag your car for 12 months. That's not much. That's not a lot of money, and I think it's about the same for collector plates, but you only do it once. So, and there's restrictions here in Tennessee. You're only supposed to drive it to events, car events. You're only supposed to drive it, to and from a workshop if you need to, that type of thing. So yeah, collector cars plates are pretty strict, but they don't police it. They don't. I've got several cops that are customers, and they don't care. They don't give a shit. They really don't. They said the worst that would happen is you might get some young cop, trying to prove a point. If he catches you doing something really stupid, he might just throw that in as well, as your reckless driving charge or whatever he's going to bust you for. He said they might throw you for not misuse of the antique tag. David Torrey, the tax on tobacco is between $1,600 and $1,800 a kilo. They reckon the tax is 80%. Wow, I was being conservative, wasn't I? Wow, 80%. Wow. Snow Crusher, I quit smoking in 1993. Mate, I quit smoking in 1961. I've never smoked. I have tried cigarettes when I was quite young, like 13 or something stupid, and I'm like, this is dumb. Like, it just didn't do anything for me. I'm like, this is expensive, which it was for a 13-year-old, and it just didn't do anything for me. I'm like, no, I'm out. So I was lucky, I guess. Robert Beckler, I'm in Minnesota. I'll just pull my plate and put a regular one on. Politicians are simple. Yeah, you might be right. You probably are right, Robert. But I think that's what they're trying to. I mean, if you're driving your 57 Chevy or your, whatever it might be, your true classic car, because I think in Minnesota they're talking, if it's over 30, is it 20 or 30 years old in Minnesota, you can get a classic tag. Might be 30, but that's 1996. So you can get, antique tags for your 1995 Taurus. Yeah, that's a lot of things, but it ain't a collector car. Anyway. Perry Cooter, I wonder if the mongrel mob registered their Harleys. Yeah. Good question. Yeah. Chris Freemas, it's about $25 a year here in New York for both my classics. Oh, wow, that's cheap. That is pretty cheap. All right, I got Andy Nickel. Been quiet tonight. I had a customer coming to pick up his guitar, and he figured it should be done when he gets here. Okay. Brad Eastham, sitting at the lights as I listen to you in Petone, Lower Hutt, and beautiful 59-ish Impala went past. Very nice. Yep, I know Petone. Um, very cool. Chief Hutchins, yep, they don't collect enough taxes. Get those collector car owners real good. Honestly, I mean, I may be being, a little bit too glass half full. I don't know, but I think they're after the people who are abusing the system and putting plates on cars that aren't really collectible or antiques, and using them on the daily. And the whole idea between for giving hobbyist collectors, a break on the taxation was because they do very few miles, and so that like it's a sensible argument there. But yeah, if you're going to run 50,000 miles a year on antique tags, you're kind of abusing the system. It depends how you look at it, really. I think. Ooh, David Tyree, a litre of Jim Beam is about $57 here. Wow, I can get a 175 litre here for about 30. So yeah. Chris Freemy, so we forgive you, Andy, this time. Only this time. Bear Rose Garage. Here in Idaho, classic plates are super restricted as well, but very few people run them. Year to date is more common. If you find an original plate, ID plate that matches, you can use them for a fee. There you go. Barracuda, yes, it's on YouTube. Okay, I'll go and have a look for it. I'm really going to have to write all this down. I've got about 20 things to look at when I get off here, but I've got to go to bed. What can you do, Andy Nickel? What can you do? Customers are so demanding. They think because they are paying that you should do a good job. Okay, I know you're being tongue in cheek, Andy. I don't believe that's how you work for a moment. He was very happy, by the way. Well, there you go. He's good. See. Oh, that's interesting. Beagle Bob, I think Georgia has made the classic car plates for a certain year cut off mid-80s, I think, instead of current year minus however many years. Yeah, that makes sense because, yeah, I mean, 80s, you could argue that I don't think there's any really classic collector cars from the 90s. Yeah, I'm sure some would disagree. Robert Becker, 95, that's a new car. Yeah, I mean, I hear you, man. I hear you. Jeff Hutchins, what's the percentage of vehicles with collector plates? How about going after something important? Fair comment. Fair comment. War against old cars continue. Yeah, and there's a lot around, but at the same time, there's not a high percentage of the vehicles on the road. If you took all the old cars off the road, like just boom overnight, you wouldn't make much of an impact on greenhouse gases and all that nonsense. So, yeah. Todd Denier, Chris, they were trying to make it so you could only drive your classic car to scheduled events on weekends and during daylight hours. Yes, if you want to use it on your anniversary on a weekday, you couldn't. Yeah, which is, I mean, that's kind of bullshit. But yeah, put a regular plate on it and to hell with them, then they can't touch you. Beer Rose, I just register all hours with normal run-of-the-mill Idaho plates, but I'm thinking of getting vanity plates for the Corvair. Fine, if it's available. Mate, I'll be surprised if it is, but hey, good on you if you do. Brad Eastham, classic rego in New Zealand is around $40. Warrant a Fitness once a year. It costs under $150 a year, and you can drive it as much as you like if you can afford the fuel. There you go. See, but they get you, like if you can afford the fuel, then they're breaking the taxes in from that. So they get you one way or another, mate. One way or another. Chris Freeman-Satotti, the fact that the proposed law died pretty much indicates wiser heads prevail. Yeah, as they should. Hey man, well, we're 10 minutes over and I could keep chatting all night, but then I'd just go face down in the keyboard, which is not going to be pretty. So yeah, it's time to wrap it up. Yeah, that's why none of my cars have ever had collector plates. They always had restrictions. Yeah. Yep. All right, fellas, fun chat. Or as Chris says, fun chat as usual, folks. Enjoy the rest of your week. Exactly, my thoughts too. So, yep, have a good one. Get out there and work on your cars. It's warming up. Get some stuff done. Get to a car show. Tell me all about it next Tuesday. Yeah, just go out and have some fun. Life is short. We're here for a good time, not a long time. So go and get after it. All right, fellas. I will see you next week. Take it easy, eh?